Alright, in this video we'll see how to create a CRUD operation using Laravel. So to add some spices we have used the Admin LTE dashboard. You can see this is the Admin LTE, the bare minimum thing that we need to run the uh, make it look like a dashboard. Fine. Now if you want to add a product, you just need to click on create, and you are directed into the form that will ask for the details. Once you fill those details, the details can be viewed in the list pages. Now let me just fill an ice cream, and it's chocolate. The price is like you can have anything. The category is not needed for this ice cream product. Now I have a image folder that has ice cream, the chocolate one. Click on save. Now you see a message that has been passed from one page to the other, and you can see the ice cream is added over here. In case if you want to edit, just click on this edit, and you can change the product. And let me change the image to grapes and click on update, and now you see the image and the content has been updated. So that's it for this video. To get started, now the focus is going to be on creating controller, creating model, and creating the request and rules, and link between the storage files and the public folder, and then how to pass the message from one page to other. Now to start this project we need two things. The very first thing is we need to create a database, and the database should have a table, and the table should have some content like name, description, price, category, image, and so on. And the second one is the pages. So to create table we'll make use of model. So to create the pages and link them we'll make use of controller. And in the create page you see we have added some validation. If I click on save, you will see some list of validation giving an error saying that name is empty, description is empty, price is empty, category is empty, and so on. So that can be accomplished with the help of this request rules, request and rules, so feature of Laravel. And finally the passing of message. Cool. To start, we'll start from very scratch, like by creating the Laravel project. And here this is going to be ice cream shop, ice cream, and the version of Laravel we are going to use is 8.6.3, which is the stable one. Close the server, and make sure you are away from the previous running project. Now I have stored all the Laravel files in XAMPP, htdocs, and the Laravel projects, and here I am going to create another project called Laravel, sorry, ice cream. I am just commanding the composer saying that create a project and download the Laravel package and name the package as ice cream and use the version of 8.6.3. Now we will try to add bootstrap as well as the feature of login and logout as well. So to do that we again need to do some work, we need to give to the composer saying that install the required package, the Laravel UI package, and add the authentication system. By the time it gets downloaded, let's just create a database and create a table for the ice creams. Make sure your XAMPP is running, or else this PHP will not open. Alright, create a new database, and I'm going to name it as ice cream. Click on create. Now the database is created. As of now it is blank, so let's get into our project. The installation is complete. cd ice cream. Now as I said, we need to give work to the composer saying that install the Laravel UI package. Let's copy this and just paste it. So the installation, the database creation is done. Make sure, just note it the database name because we need to link our database to our Laravel folder with the help of the env file. Let's wait till this get downloaded, and let's install the authentication system as well. So both of them is done. Now it's asking me to run npm install and npm run dev. So our project is ready. Now let's use the project in our Visual Studio Code. So code and dot. So this will load the Laravel folder into our Visual Studio Code. So it has opened up. Let me close the previously open one. Now let me run our project php artisan serve. So if I get into the localhost colon 800, so this is what it is. Now you can see the login and register has come up. You can log in saying that sorry, we don't have a we need to register it first, then only we will be able to log in. So it's asking to log in, so register with the password. The character should be 8 characters long. Now let's use the admin LTE and convert this UI. So the first thing, our database is ready. So let's create the tables inside that. Control C to close the server. So to do that, we need to create a controller. Sorry, we need to create a model. In this case, it's going to be just the name of the model is going to be ice cream. And how would you notice it? So in the migration table of database folder, you will see the model called ice cream shows up. So by this you understood that the model has been created. And in the app folder you will find models, and there also ice cream.php model is created. Now we need to create the columns. So here in this case, let me create the columns. I just missed it somewhere. Yeah, it's over here. Now we don't need this category. We have a name, we have description, we have price, and we have image. So the data type for name is string, the data type for description is text, data type for price is integer, and data type for image is string. So click on save. So now we can migrate happily. So as of now there is no tables. Once I make php artisan migrate, it would take some time and it will migrate all the tables for you. So the first thing is, as I said already, we have to make sure we have linked our folder, Laravel folder, with our database, and the database is ice cream. So once this is done, you need to run the command. So if you click on structures again, you will see some 1 2 3 4 5 6 tables has been created inside the ice cream database, and the one that we need is ice creams table. So inside the ice creams table you will find some columns saying that name, description, price, image, created at, updated at. Cool. So the database part is done. Now we need to create two pages. So for that, let me show you where the pages are coming from. So by default, Laravel loads the pages from the resource folder. Inside we have views, inside we have welcome.blade.php. So the Laravel, as I shown you before, logged in, there was a page called welcome page. The server is not running. PHP artisan serve. So this welcome page comes from the welcome.blade.php. Now we need to create two more files, so we'll place this into a folder, and the folder name is going to be ice creams, and inside the ice cream folder we need two file which is going to be index.blade.php, which will have all the list of ice creams, list of ice creams here, and then we will have the form which is create.blade.php form here. Now to call this we need to create ICECREAMs ice creams and create. So when I enter this URL, you should see the page which should say form here. So for that we need to create a route, so we need to create a controller. So in this case we'll create a controller by giving command to the composer saying that ice cream controller, and click here. Once this is done, you will see in the HTTP folder there would be a controller, and your controller, ice cream controller, has been created along with the index for listing all the images, create for showing the form data, store to store the data and show again, edit the data, update the data, and destroy the data. So this file is created once you enter the command called make controller. Now in the in the routes folder you will see web.php. Let me find routes, web.php, and here when there is a call for ice creams and index ice creams index, then go to the controller called this controller, ice cream controller, and call the index method, and whatever is there, just so let me just return some text, some random text. So what I am about to show you is, make sure your controller is imported properly. It would be inside app, then you will see HTTP, then we have controllers, and then we have our controller class. Cool. Now as I said, when there is a call for this URL, get into the controller's function called index, and we can name the route as ice creams dot index. I'll make sure you understand why we are giving a route name. So by this time, when there's a call for this URL, the function that is going to handle is index, and at present ITURN, it is just going to give you the text called some random text. Let's try. I hope my server is not running, because we have stopped it to create the controller. Make sure your URL is saved. Sorry, it's index. So some random text. So I don't want this text, but I want to return a view. So view. So the file that we have created is inside where it's inside the folder called, in the resources it's ice creams, and inside that we have index. So the file whatever is there inside, so list of ice creams here. So here list of ice. The same way we can create for the create URL, and the function that will handle is create, and the name of the route is going to be in ice creams.create. So the same way, this is the file name, not the route name. Make sure, just take a note of it. So now a form here. So these two values are coming from the text from this file. Now we need to convert our admin LTE. So I'll leave the source code in the description, just follow along. So here we have a admin LTE. So this is just index. So this is the admin LTE index, the bare minimum part that we need to run the backend. So first thing, you'll see the admin LTE has the assets folder which has all the required CSS and JS. So let me just get the assets folder here and get into our Laravel folder, Laravel projects, ice creams, and then we have public. Just paste it, and we have pasted our HTML and CSS folder, and we need to open our index.html of admin LTE source code. So let me just create a shortcut, admin LTE, and here you'll see index.html. So here we need to link these two files into our. So I just want you to understand, we would be getting, if I get into the source code of create, it is nothing. So in that case, just copy the home.blade.php HTML and paste it inside the index.blade.php. The same way for create.blade.php, you can see it is extending some files. So inside the layout we have a app. So you'll see the HTML. So if I refresh again and get into the index or create, you'll see this file, because it is extending the app.blade.php. So we are in the create, extend the layout. So you'll see this content will be replaced in a section called this. So this content and this content is actual match. So whatever is there inside this HTML Laravel code, Laravel syntax, will be replaced by with here. I hope I made it clear. Now this is the head part of the HTML. Now we need to link these. I think it's font, we can skip that. The same way for the footer. And this isn't enough. Now if I'll show you, Control U, you'll see it does not, it is just a relative path, but we need to make an absolute path. So to make the absolute path, what we need to do is we need to write a syntax similar to this, surround it with the asset function, and if you refresh, you'll see the absolute path. Now if I click, you'll be able to access all the CSS and JS which we have pasted it in the resource folder. The same way, let me just close this. We need to do the same for the JS part. So this is very easy. This is how we link our template or any other HTML template to Laravel. First you need to place the resources. Resources in my sense is HTML, CSS and JavaScript files into the resource folder, and then just link it in the app.blade.php. And now if you refresh this, there is nothing, because we haven't pasted the HTML yet. Now if you don't need this, you can just delete this, but I'm just going to separate this section as a sidebar. So the HTML is well written. Just choose the sidebar. You can see the main sidebar container. Just copy this and create a new file. Make sure it's inside views. We can give the name as sidebar dot blade.php and just paste it. Now we can include this file. We can include this file where in the create, just delete this because we don't want this. So just above the content or just inside the content, you can just include the sidebar.blade.php because we have directly placed the sidebar.blade.php in the view folder, so we can directly access it just by sidebar. The same way for the index, if I refresh this, you will see the sidebar. Now in the sidebar, it's not burger now, it's ice creams. Cool. So the sidebar has come. Now we can directly paste our form here and we can directly paste our table here, so we don't have, now the third part is also complete. So now we have to add form. So to add form, it's really very simple. In the create.blade.php, we don't need this for this sidebar as of now. So I'll give you a hint why we need a route name. So here you will see we have view and create. Now we can directly use route and you can give the name of the route here, which is ice creams dot index. Make sure you match the name of the route properly. Create. So just cross check, get it to the web.blade.php, and here it's ice creams dot index, ice creams dot create. Cool. Now the sidebar is done. You can close this. Just click a refresh, and if you click on the view, make sure the URL is getting changed. So that means the route name is working properly. Just by accessing the route name, you have the access to the URL. Cool. Now we can have our form here. So let me just copy paste the form. I'll explain it what is inside. Just a form, like just here, if I make a refresh, you will see the form appears here. It's better to have a HTML or just a card. Don't just directly dump it. I think it's taking the whole part, you can see. So it's better to follow how the HTML is. So let me just open the HTML again. Admin LTE index.html and this sidebar. So we have a navbar and then the content wrapper. So just copy the content wrapper and paste it. Remove whatever is inside. So just remove the card body, the card, and replace it. So just paste it into our index.html, or else we have to do the same thing again. Just copy this card section and place it inside the HTML place. Now you see we don't need this dashboard. Name of the ice cream. Cool. Now we have input field asking the name, we have text area asking the description, we have input type number asking the price, and then we have input type file. So here we can see input type text, input text form, sorry, text area, and then we have input type number, and then we have input type file. Make sure we have added the name description, name attribute on all the HTML because we need it. Make sure it's same as the column name just to avoid the confusion. So we have created the table called ice creams in the database and created some columns which is similar to the attribute of HTML. So once this is done, you can see I have added a CSRF and I have added the multipart just for the this attribute is important because we are importing the input type file. And if you see, so once I click on this save button, what is going to happen is the whatever the URL you give URL it would send the form data to that URL. If you click on create, you can see the URL is activated. So we need to create a route again. So in this case it is going to be post method, and the store function is going to take care of it, and this is the URL. The store function is going to take care of it, the name route. So in the store you can see I'm just going to dump the data of request. So this request hold all our HTML data. So make sure it's saved, add a semicolon in the end. So if I click on save, you will see all the data is getting sent to the URL. So that we don't need. Now we just copy this URL or copy the name route and get into the create. You can use the route function, and that's it. Since it's a post, you'll see if I click on save, the URL has been changed to ice cream URL, and these are the data that we have passed. Now you can see there are null. We don't need null. We need to add a validation before sending. So to create the validation, you need to stop the server first and give the command to the composer saying that create request, and it's going to be ice cream create request. We can give any name. So it's created successfully. Now in the HTTP you will find a request folder, and here you have the class. Make sure to add true because you are going to add validation, and then this is the rules that we are going to set. So the rules are, let me just open the rule for you. So these are the rules. So the name attribute, these are the attributes of the input field name. Now I'm saying that it should be required, it should be string, the minimum character is 3, the maximum character is 40. Description is required, it's string, minimum is and maximum is, let's just make this 100. Description is a long text. Price, it is required and it is numeric. It should, the minimum value is 3 and the maximum value is 1500. And this is image, this is required again. It should accept either PNG, JPEG or JPEG. So once this is done, and if there is any error, we can handle the error just above the form. So let me write the code for handling the error. So this is Laravel code. So I'm just saying this error variable holds all our error. If the error variable has more than 0, that means something is there, and run the for each loop and just display the value one by one. Alert danger, it's a class, and just display one by one. So now if I refresh and click on save, no, server is not running. If I click on save, you'll see the validation is not running. Let me see why. Okay, the validation is not running because in the request, sorry, in the controller, you'll see the request. We need to create a reference to the created request class. Just copy this and place it as a object reference, and make sure to import it. Use app http request, I think it's request folder. Inside app we have http, inside http we have a request, and inside request we have the class, and that's it. Now let me try again. If you click on save, you see the files are the field is empty. Let me type some value in the name and click on save. You'll see that name, that exception will go, so that means it's working fine. Let's fix this later. Now this is also done. Now we need to import, we need to dump the inserted value into our database. So to store, we need to get into the store function, because it is what handling it. Let me just comment this, because here we need to write a Laravel ORM, which is we need to call the model. So to call the model, just duplicate this. So here, not in the inside app we have models, inside models we have ice cream. Copy this and call them here, and actually it's not model, it's ice cream. Now we need to create a reference called create, and we need to link it. So here I'm saying these are the attributes, these are the database table column name, and these are the attributes of name attribute of HTML. Now with this syntax, you can see in the path we need to make sure we call the image. This is the name image, and then we have a function, special function called store, so that will store. So you can see, get the image and use the store function, and this is the path that we are showing to the Laravel, that store our image into this URL, into this location. So you will find a storage folder in the Laravel, storage here, and app, then public. At present it is blank, but when you save it, there would be a folder called ice cream, and inside the ice cream our image will be stored. So once the storage is done, then we need to redirect to where? Redirect to the uh, return, then redirect to the route. We'll give the route name, which is index, which will list all our which is ice creams dot index with the message. So here, stored successful. Cool. Let me just save this, and as you see, it is blank as of now. Let me just type vanilla ice. Now there is an error. Once I click on submit, there would be an error, because we are making a bulk update. So when we make a bulk update, we need to make sure we are using a protected variable in our models, where the model is. and that will say to the model, saying that we are going to update bulk, so there should be no guard. So if you want vanilla ice 150 rupees, change the image, ice cream vanilla, and click on save. There seems to be an error. A category is there because I have removed the category somewhere. We need to remove this. Again click on save. Index has come but the message is not there. So to have the message in the index.blade.php, where you can find the index.blade.php, inside resources, views, ice creams, here we need to add a code for the message. So before that, let me just show you the storage. You can see there's an ice cream folder, and you can see there are two files which we have added right now. I don't think it will play, but it is stored. Now we can do one more thing. So the storage folder, you can see there's a storage folder. We can have the same storage folder into our public as well. So in that case, let me just close the server, Control C, php artisan storage colon link. Now you'll see this public folder will also have the storage folder, and inside the storage folder you have the ice creams images. Cool. Now let me just pass the message the same way as we did for the error. The same way we are going to do for the, so we can place over here. So if it has a message, then show the message. Now let me try again. Create. This time let's add choco ice 250. Click on save. I will see stored successfully. Now this time we have completed the update part. Let me just show you the HTML database as well. So two rows has been inserted. Now we need to get these row and display it on the index page. So let's get into the controller here. The same way, in the index we need to use the model and use get method and store it into a variable, and pass this variable with the help of compact function in the form of string, and we can access this variable in our index.blade.php. Now let me just, so this is the variable that holds all our data. So let me just copy paste the HTML code for table. Cool. Now I just added the table, and this is the column names, and then we are checking from the model just to give a variable differentiation. Now as we know, a model is the controller is passing the data to a variable called this ice cream, and we are checking if there is one, or then display the data. If there is no, then say the message saying that nothing to show. Now the key will start from 0, so to give the serial number I am just giving 0 plus 1, so the first value will have 1. And then these are the table names, sorry, column names, name, description, price, and then we have, since we have linked our storage folder in the public, we can directly access using storage colon URL. Storage is a class and URL is a static method. We can access the image using this, and if I click on save and check again in the next, if there is no error, you'll see the two data that has been populated. Now the last one will have anchor tag, and which will allow me to edit. So let me just add the class as well, which is going to be VTN primary, which will allow me to edit. So here I want to edit. So when I want to edit, what I need to do is I need to get into the form page. So in that case, let me just copy the form content and create a new page and save it and give the name as edit.blade.php. So now this is edit, and we need to, when I click on this, I need to get into the URL called let me just give one route name which I have not created yet, but I'll create it now. ICRA ice creams dot edit. Now in the route, which is web.blade.php, which would be inside the route folder, not here, over here. Now I want to send the data. So here it is going to take care of, the URL is going to be edit, and this is the route name, and this is the function that is going to edit. So in the controller you will see the edit function as the ID. So we need to pass the ID as well to the controller. So to give ID to the controller, what we need to do is in the web.php we need to pass ID also. So while passing the data, while using this URL, we need to pass the ID as well. So where we are using it in the edit.blade.php, we are using it over here. Sorry, not in the edit.blade.php I guess, but in the index.blade.php. We need to pass the ID as well. So to pass the ID, we can do one more thing. So this is route, and use the comma, then pass the ID. So if you know in database there is a column called ID, you can see this is the ID. So we are passing this ID. So let me try. When I click on this edit on the index page, if you click on edit, you'll see 2 has been passed, but it says there is an error in the controller on web.blade.php. Where is routes? It should not be post, it should be get. Click on it. Cool, it is blank as of now because the edit does not do anything. Now it is pointing to the edit. Now this edit, we have the access to the ID. Let me just check. dd $ID. So when I click on edit, you'll see the ID. We have access to this ID. Now we are going to use the model as we have already done, and instead of get, it is going to be find and pass the ID. Now we will have one row data. If the value is 1, if the value is 1, you have one row data, so we can have access to the name by this way. Now we need to pass the variable to the route, so to the page, which we have already done earlier here. This way, get into edit, get into the view called edit, and use the same ice cream. Now in the edit.blade.php, we don't need this error. We need this error, I'll show you why. And we don't need this URL as of now because we'll be creating it later on. And in place of placeholder, just get this name and use the route. This is the variable which our model has sent to this page, and we can have access to this way. Now if I refresh this page, so you can see vanilla ice cream has come up. So the same way for the text area, refresh this, text area also come up. The same way for the fries, make sure it's text or else it won't work. So fries also has been populated, but for the image, let's just face the image over here. So here in this case we'll use the image tag and let the width of the image be 100. Now we need to display the image, so we can directly use this in this way, but let me just show you how does it looks. So as I said, we have store class and URL function we need to pass in this way. Let me just make sure which we have used in the index.blade.php. Just copy the same, actually it's storage, not store. And the name of the, it's fries. We have fries and we have image. So let me get into view, and if I click on chocolate, so you'll see the data related to chocolate populates. So again, instead of save, you can have the text update. You can see the update shows up. Now if I click on update, the data that need to send to the update function. So let me create a route, and the route that we will be creating is ice creams dot update. As we have already done, we need to pass the ID as well to this route with this variable hyphen ID. Let me just try. Update. Achha, we have not defined the update yet, so let me just define it in the blade web.php. So here it's going to be put, P-U-T, and the URL is going to be update, and the function that is going to handle is update, and the route name is update. So let's get into the controller, and here in the update function you see we have request as well as ID. Now let me just get back, and there is one more thing that we need to do in the edit.blade.php is we need to explicitly specify that the method is foot. Click on edit and click on what should happen. Too few arguments to this function. So I scream there is one more mistake in the web.php. We need to pass the ID as well. Click again and we can use the dd the ID. It's not able to access. I tested it. Now let's do it again. In the controller, just dd pass the ID. Now we are able to access the ID. Now we are going to use the update operation. So before doing the update operation, if I click, we need to create a request again, validation again. So in that case, close the controller, sorry, close the server, and this is I scream update request, and again a form will be created, class will be created. Just copy the same thing what we have done for the create. Yes, we need validation, and in this case we don't want the image to be required. If the image is already there, then leave as it is. And as I said, we need to import this in our controller. And use it as a reference to the update variable over here. Now if there is missing, you should see the error message. The server is not running. It's not a get request, so we need to do it again. Instead of create, it should be index, edit, just remove some values and click on update. Description is in required, so fine, that is working. Now we need to write the update query. So before update, as we already done, we need to do the same. Find the row with the ID that we have passed and store it into a variable. Now we need to assign the same way what we have done earlier. So here I'm just assigning, saying that when you find the row, just fill the row with the input field. So you can see with the input field, and then this is the name attribute and this is the column name, and save it. So you can see the path is missing. So here, while updating the record, there would be two scenarios. The first one is the image the user has not updated, and the second scenario is the user updated the image. So here we need to use a if else condition. If the request has image, then what it should do. So you can see if the request has image, Then what we need to do, we need to store the image in the storage folder. That's what I am doing, and assign it to the fast path. And if the image does not have if the user has not updated the image, in that case just get the image from the database row and just place it. That's it. And once this is done, you can just send the message to the index page saying that record updated successfully. Let me try. Click on refresh, and let me just make this 200 as a discount. Click on save. You can see record updated successfully and the data is 200. Now let's just change the image, and from chocolate to, let's just make this mango, and click on update. Record updated successfully, and you are able to update the data as well. Now we are able to view, create. Let me create grapes ice cream, and we are able to edit this 350. You can make this 400, and you can change the image to strawberry and click on save, and you can see it has been updated. The message also we are able to pass. So that's all for this video. Meet you in the next tutorial.